Chosen one, that fella, isn't he? That Adrian Newey chap, god tier level aerodynamicist, the fella who studied ground effect in sports cars at university back in 1980 whenever. So who's in a better position than him to take advantage of this current rule and red set? I don't know a chap. I don't know a geezer, a guy or girl in the world or in F1 history not named Colin Chapman who has more knowledge of this stuff than one Adrian Newey. And here's why I've been thinking about this, I'll be honest with you guys. On the back of my chat with my mentor, god tier level F1 analyst, broadcaster, team manager, world championship winning team manager, by the way, with Nigel Mansell, my guy, Peter Windsor. It's got me a bit nostalgic. I'm starting to when you go into your reminiscent bag and you start to think what F1's missing. And the trigger for that wasn't just my chat with Peter Windsor. He was talking about Ivan Capelli and the famous story where Alan Prost, whilst following Adrian Newey machinery, the March Leighton House 881, backed off of Ivan Capelli. By the way, Alan Prost, one of the go-test drivers that you've ever seen in your life in one of the most dominant cars, not named an RB20, backed off of Ivan Capelli, thinking that there was no way that this dude was going to be able to keep that car on track, that he was going to have a very serious incident driving that Adrian Newey car. But courtesy of the characteristics endemic, imbued within every single Adrian Newey car, per my guy Peter Windsor, as Ivan Capelli was going quicker, the downforce got more god tier. That's the Adrian Newey way, right? And again, it got me to thinking, man, because the F1, the extrapolation, the current affairs and trajectory of F1 has me concerned. And again, there was a couple things this weekend past that got me to thinking this way. And I'm dotting around here and going around the houses, but I think it's important for table setting. Catch this. Zhou Guanyu was celebrated massively at his home Grand Prix, and I think that's worthy. It was a lovely moment, right? We all enjoyed it. However, I think, with the benefit of hindsight in retrospect, were we not, as F1, as a sports enterprise, celebrating mediocrity just a little bit, Tony, Sir, Nagy, Crick? I think we were celebrating mediocrity. We were indulging in it. There was a better way to do it than that, than to have Zhou Guanyu park up alongside the podium sitters. They earned that spot for whatever it's worth. RB20, god tier level machinery notwithstanding. So what are we doing then today in F1 if not rewarding mediocrity? You got the likes of Mercedes struggling to find form. Are they not swimming in the very murky waters? Have they not been swimming in the very murky waters of mediocrity for the longest time? You got your likes of Alpine also, mediocrity settings for the longest bloody time. And then we get the announcement that F1 are planning to extend the point scoring places from 1 to 10 to 1 to 12. What is that all about? And today, peddlers, I come in peace, chat. I don't want to do the scorched earth, Cameron. But again, I'm getting reminiscent and then I'm comparing and contrasting what F1 was in yesteryear, erstwhile, versus what it's becoming today. And when I hear that news about the point scoring, I'm like, I already don't like 1 to 10. Why are you getting a point for 10? What have you done in 10th position to score a point? 10th. That's like halfway, 50% of the finishers. Then, if everybody finishes, gets bloody put. How does this work? I'm confused. This makes no sense to me. I put that to Peter Windsor, and he, like me, agrees that what we want to do is put it back to 6 point scoring positions, 1 to 6, 10 points for first, 6 points for second, third gets 4, fourth gets 3. 5th gets 2, 6th gets 1. Nothing long. Nice and simple and easy. Sack off this celebrating mediocrity. And again, I only say that to say this. It's got me in my nostalgic bag, and I've been going back and reading the Adrian Newey. First time I've ever read it, How to Build a Car. And I went back straight and I'm reading it over and again, and I'm diving deep into what F1 used to be. I'm so keen and interested in the genesis story of Adrian Newey, how he's come to be the god tier aerodynamicist, the linchpin in Formula One that he is as at April of 2024. Toto Wolff has it wrong when he talks about engineers being more important than race drivers, because all engineers and aerodynamicists were created equally, but some, chat, were created more equally than others. Adrian Newey is amongst those. Toto Wolff wants to sack off if he understands what genuinely is first order priority. He wants to sack off chasing a Max Verstappen, and he wants to write a blank check to try and get hold of Adrian Newey. Give that fella whatever he wants. What you want, an island, whatever you want, chap. You want shares? Do you want an ambassadorial role? Like, what do you want? What do you want, Adrian? That's the question that Toto Wolff should be asking. All of this other stuff is nonsense and fades to black. Adrian Newey is the guy. Granted, of course, 2026 is a brand new rule and reg set, but I said it this time last year and in 2022, for Pete's sake, when the new regs were introduced in the first instance. If we are going into a new set, a paradigm shift for regulations, then I can choose my car as a driver and its designer. Give me the Adrian Newey car each and every single time. Are you kidding me? People want to talk about James Allison, also god tier, but like I said at the outset, right, all aerodynamicists were created equally, but some are created more equally than others. Adrian Newey is absolutely the linchpin. Now, could talk news and talk about Carlos Sainz potentially holding at the market and Audi giving him more time to make up his mind. Is he going to go to Red Bull if indeed they can up their offer? But sometimes, you know, it's a bit samey sometimes, isn't it? Hence why I'm retracting into old school F1, learning about its history, right? I find it more interesting sometimes. And again, if I reference the book, the Adrian Newey read, How to Build a Race Car, understanding how this dude works, the minutiae, the attention to detail each and every single time. You guys see him still getting underneath the car to check that his machine is okay, functioning as he planned. He talks ad infinitum about in the book about a malleable chassis, about ensuring that the cars that he builds aren't aerodynamically sensitive to changing ride heights, because that's what you're going to get each and every single time. He talks extensively about Senna's death too, and how he feels responsible for that, because he didn't build post active suspension in 1994. He failed to build a car that was sufficiently aerodynamically insensitive to the ride heights. Again, he hadn't adapted for active suspension going away. I think it's God tier. We're just on a completely different level. The interactions and story with Damon Hill and Frank Williams, the fact that he had it inbuilt into his contract, that he needed to know all the drivers. And when they sacked Damon Hill, the year that he was about to win a championship in 1996, the year that they told him to go away, Adrian Newey's like, I'm off as well, because you didn't tell me that you were going to hire Heinz Howard Frentzen. It is in my contract, and that is breach. Frank Williams. These stories are different, man. I don't know. I don't want to sound like the old guy at the bar saying, oh yeah, back in my day, etc., etc. I don't want to be him. I desperately do not want to be him. However, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you just go back into the old school, right? And I don't know, it's comforting, like a comfort blanket, learning about Adrian and hearing him reminisce about 94 and 88. I don't know. Maybe it's Windsor that's got me into this bag. Maybe it is my talking to Peter and hearing him talk about PK and Mansell and the acrimony. That this is just that what we're seeing between Russell and Hamilton, and that what's developing between Leclerc and Sainz is only what had happened between Piquet and Mansell previously, Prost and Senna, right? This is the older Vettel and Webber even. Hamilton and Rosberg. Acrimony between teammates is the oldest story in the F1 book. And I'm here for it, man. History doesn't repeat in F1, but it does rhyme sometimes. And I think these are the plot lines that are just, once again, raising their not so ugly head. And I'm here for it. And that's not to say that in 2024, F1 is in doldrums and whatever. It's got problems, right? Monotony, Max Verstappen super dominant. The FIA can't pull their finger out and get anything right. They can't even tell you who's won qualifying or who's won the race even. The metrics that are on your screen are different to the reality, and that's an issue. I don't mean to say that yesteryear is better, but I think sometimes you got to go back. You got to dig deep. Remember why you're here. Why am I interested in the sport? And my genesis story, if I'm talking F1, was 1994. It was Hill and Schumacher. And again, I didn't know it at the time, but Adrian Newey was an instrumental part of that bloody story. So to loop the circle, listen, Toto, if I'm honest, to conclude this soliloquy, this monologue, this ode to F1 times past, if I'm a team principal, Toto Wolff of course inclusive in that, I think it's a misdirection to put your eggs in a Kimi Antonelli basket, to put your eggs in a Max Verstappen basket or a Carlos Sainz basket. I think that's misdirection. I think Toto Wolff, for once over the past few weeks, had it right when he said it's more important to keep engineers than it is drivers. Who's on the money as far as a PR perspective and fostering rapport with his key asset Lewis Hamilton. You can debate the upside relative to the downside of that. But as a statement, as a standalone statement, Toto Wolff was absolutely right. And all of those team principals, if they harbour ambitions of winning anything over the next 5 to 10 years, depending how long 65-year-old Adrian Newey hangs around, if that's their lot, if that's where they want to be, then the action for each and every single one of them is blank check time. Allow Adrian Newey, God tier level aerodynamicist, allow him to write his own number. Because he's the linchpin. Adrian Newey, whether you have him at your team or not, that's the deal breaker as far as how many championships you're going to win between now and the time when Adrian Newey retires. The prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.